What's going on, my PT peeps, my family, my everybody? I don't know what to tell you, but ultimately I'm One Eyebrow, also known as PT. Don't know if I'm winking or blinking, but I'm definitely thinking about From Season 4, Episode 7, the latest episode of the series. We got one more season of From next year. They should start filming, I guess, pretty soon for that, I believe. I'm not sure exactly when, but we've been watching different shows and movies and everything, and I wasn't able to do a live stream last week, so we got to talk about From as a whole. And it's definitely exciting to see if we're getting answers and they're dragging their feet with it. But let me know your thoughts. Post your comments in the live chat. What have you been watching? Any shows, any movies? So, what's up, Negan? So, there's a little teaser trailer for Dead City. I've seen a little bit of it, and I'm like, okay, so Maggie kills a walker, and there's some new characters, and there's this, and there's that, and whatever, but there's nothing revolutionary about it, and, super exciting about it. I don't know. Hopefully it remains to be seen. Hopefully it's much better than Season 2, but we'll see that coming up next month in July. Are you watching any different movies this summer? I've seen Mandalorian and Grogu and Masters of the Universe. How about you? Have you seen those movies? Have you seen anything else? What are you looking forward to this year? What's up, Big Tree? So, I have my proof of the book series, Fight for Us 2 reaction. I just got it yesterday. So we're coming along very well. It's on Instagram. It's on Facebook. I have it there. I'm excited to be wrapping that up. We're trying to get the last edit for coming up soon, but it's still on track for a June release. I am excited for that because I'm ready for this book to come out and setting up the next book. That's for sure. I'm really excited for the next book, and it's been a long time coming in my mind, and it's always nice when you've been working on something and you can get it started, and then eventually, probably next year. I probably want. I'm gonna wait to put that out, or maybe end of the year at best case too. So, what's up, Tim? Negan is watching Your Friends and Neighbors comedy drama on Apple TV. Pretty good. So we're finished. We're on the last season of Righteous Gemstones, and there's 4 seasons, and we're on the 3rd episode of season 4. The first episode of season 4. There is a Walking Dead alum in that episode. He's a short, very short part, but it's kind of cool to see different actors, different people there coming from The Walking Dead. I've seen Mandalorian and Grogu. It just felt like another longer episode of the series. It wasn't really everything revolutionary. It was good, don't get me wrong, and I love, Mandalorian and Grogu and the little characters and the Hutt family and this and the Star Wars universe and lore, but it just isn't that different than the show, so it's kind of tough to really have that. Masters of the Universe was pretty good for what it was. It's not a good movie by any means, but the nostalgia of it, the story is, He-Man is not a great story, but if you grew up with Masters of the Universe, it's something you should watch and you should see. Do you need to see it in movie theaters? I don't know. Gary Page says The Burrows. So I finished the first season of The Burrows. It's 8 episodes, and it definitely sets up a second season, but it also kind of encased in the first season could just be the main story. It doesn't have to be a second season. It may be one of those things that is like they forced the second season because of the popularity of it, and the writers may have done, I'm just speculating, the writers could have done it as, we have this idea for this show, 8 episodes, it's not 8 hours, but, it's maybe 6 hours or so of content of episodes because of, 40 minutes or so the episodes are. So it has a beginning, middle, and end, but it does also set up a second season in a way that hopefully is interesting enough to keep it watching. We're watching American Primeval on Netflix. If you like Yellowstone, if you like the Wild West, if you like, there's a lot of violence in it. There's a lot of blood. There's a lot of gore. There's a lot of craziness in that time frame. in that part of history in the West. Peter Berg directs this series. It's called American Primeval. We're on, I think, episode 4. I think there's 6 episodes. It's a short series, but it's definitely pretty crazy, and it draws you in to see what's going down. And you can't compare it to Yellowstone by any means, but it's pretty good. The Dutton Ranch, great series. And all I can say is that the Dutton Ranch, thank goodness that it exists, because the Yellowstone universe, the Marshalls, forget about it. Stupid. Madison, that's not connected with that at all. But it is connected with Dutton Ranch. Rip, Beth, and Carter are enough to make you feel like Yellowstone. And the way the story unfolds, the way the characters are, they're just in Texas instead of Montana. They have ranch problems. They have things that would come up. They have enemies already. Like, they already have everything going on. And I think it's 4 episodes so far. And Beth is great. Rip is great. Carter, he's good too. The new characters are good. The Ed Harris character is great. Annette Bening is a good addition to this universe. And it just draws you in. So, it's one of those things that it's continuing the Yellowstone universe, and I'm just glad it exists, because that's a great universe that is fictional, obviously, but it brings things around that you get invested in these people. And anytime you get invested in it, you want to see the story unfold. And stuff was kind of left open on Yellowstone, especially for Beth and Rip, and this is a nice, good continuation of the story. And it felt like, especially this latest episode, it felt more like Yellowstone than any other thing I've seen since Yellowstone, obviously. If you've seen it, let me know if you agree or not. But it's definitely interesting. What else is going on? The NBA Finals, craziness. The Knicks versus the Spurs. And hopefully the Knicks pull it out. They're up 2-0 against San Antonio. And everyone, I think, is rooting for the Knicks, unless you're a Spurs fan. I thought the Spurs were just going to be better than they are. I thought they would at least win 1 game at home, but let alone 2. But they lost both games. They're coming back on Monday for Game 3 at Madison Square Garden. That's if you like basketball and the NBA, obviously. So the other big thing is the World Cup is starting this week, and I'm a huge soccer fan. Obviously, I root for the United States. But I do like good soccer, too. I love to watch Germany and Brazil and Argentina and, Spain and France and England and just good quality soccer. I grew up playing soccer and baseball and, a bunch of sports, and then just transitioned to baseball and soccer, then just transitioned just to soccer. And it's definitely something that is near and dear to me. And the World Cup, to me, is... When you say world champion, that's what they say in every sport, but it's truly a world champion, because you have all these different countries coming together, and the fact that it's in North America, in Canada, United States, and Mexico, that's pretty awesome. And the United States plays Paraguay, Turkey, and Australia. They should easily win the group, but they're probably not going to make it easy. They'll probably have like a tie and 2 wins, or 2 ties and a win. Hopefully have no losses, because they're not the best by any means. They just lost to Germany 2-1 yesterday. But they should be able to get out of that group based on, I had to say lack of competition, but there's no other like huge... The United States to me is like a top 20 team, maybe like top 15, maybe they're like 15th in the world, 16th, 17th, and there's no one in their group that they shouldn't lose to, but we'll see. It's the World Cup and it's soccer, so anything can happen for sure. So hopefully you guys are doing well. It's June 7th as I do this live stream, and it's crazy to think that this year is going by so fast, and it is. Before you know it, it'll be July. We'll be talking about Dead City, which there's a lot of speculation about a lot of things and a lot of nonsense, but we'll have to see how it unfolds. We all know the big character that's going to show up again in season 3. And I don't want to give it away as a spoiler on here, but I have other videos about it. If you know the channel, you know what we're doing there too. And I made a video, I guess last week or so, of what Gimple said. And if Gimple said anything worth note, and he said that fans would, I don't know, I forget the terms and the words that he used, the verbiage, but basically, like, the fans would be excited if you knew all the stuff that they're trying to do behind the scenes to make the characters come back together for another series or episodes or show or something. And so the fact that he's working on something is pretty good. The fact that he talked about it a little bit, like, Scott Gimple is notorious for not giving us any information, and you don't want to have any false information out there, but you also don't want to build up the hopes of things and it falls flat. But I think you could really have a final short season, like 6 or 8 episodes. Like, you know, The Ones Who Live was 6 episodes. That's all we need. I need 6 hour-long episodes. Give me 6 hours of Rick, Michonne, Daryl, Carol, Negan, Maggie, the Commonwealth, whatever villain they try to come from Dead City or the Daryl Dixon Show or whatever they were doing, to wrap it up, to have it on there as well. Now, I know everybody wants The Walking Dead forever, but it's basically on life support right now. And I don't know. It all comes down to budget and money, and, you know, will they put enough money into it to make it back? I don't know. They probably want to make the smart investment of doing it the right way. I think that the fans would watch if you show the final. If you really advertise it on social media or YouTube or whatever, like, you don't even have to have a huge ad campaign about anything. You could post a video on your YouTube channel, and then we will talk about it everywhere. There'll be enough people spreading it like wildfire. And if enough people get behind it, then they would do it, I'm guessing. But ultimately, is the content there? Is the story there? Is there one way to wrap it up for everything to come together? And I don't know if it's ever going to happen. And I'm not going to hold my breath and be like, we need more Walking Dead. Like, I don't want to have watered down Walking Dead. I want to have it be good quality story, content, everything. There's enough other stuff to watch coming out from now to the end of the year that is going to be worth watching. And then next year, I'm sure there'll be plenty more, because we have House of the Dragon this month. You have Dead City next month. We have, at some point, Daryl Dixon after that. And then I'm sure there's other stuff that I haven't even thought about that's coming out, like the Spider-Man movie, like the Street Fighter movie, like the Avengers Doomsday. Like, there's plenty of things, plus football, plus this, plus everything. You know, there's so many other things going on that I don't know if it's necessary for The Walking Dead, but to me, it's going to be near and dear, and I would like to see there as well. Also, we have, you know, episodes 8, 9, and 10. Season 4, episode 4 came out today, and it's a good one. So, you know, it's kind of the classic that people have information and they don't share it. And now people have information that we all know. It's kind of the classic, like, the audience is smarter than the characters in the show. And you can do that for a little bit, but then ultimately the characters have to catch up to have what we know. And we know Sophia is a pain, and you know that she was going to be a pain, and we know that she was going to be the person that is causing problems. And that's going to be that way until they figure out what it is, who's going to be the one to figure out how it went down, what did she do, because hopefully Boyd is smart enough to figure out all these problems, all these new problems have come about since she's been here. What's the common factor of this and that and coming back together and having a town meeting? First, like, I would assume, like, if you've ever worked for a company or a big company or whatever, there's like upper management, right? So upper management is the managers, the vice president, the president, whatever on there too as well. They usually have a meeting first, and then the information gets discussed with the local branches, the local area, the local businesses, the local this, the clinics, the thing, whatever, like the stores, the companies, whatever it is. And I feel like it should be Boyd. Well, Donna's in like no shape to like talk right now, but you have Boyd, Donna, Jade, and Tabitha. Kenny is there, there, and then that's kind of what you need to talk about it first, right? And so they're finally getting caught up on the information that we know that Jade and Tabitha have been there before. Reincarnation. Tabitha was Miranda. Miranda was Victor's mom, which is Henry's wife. Henry and Victor are there. And then Ethan brings up a good question of like, are we brothers? Like, or is this there too? So, I like the idea of like getting answers and stuff's there. It's like it was really funny when Jade was having the map out the tunnels, which is probably going to be the last episode when they do something in the tunnels, setting up the 5th and final season, I'm guessing, because we have 3 episodes left. And they'll have to figure out the best plan of attack for that. But then, the way it ended, Kenny's in trouble. This is a little dangerous. What's going to happen there? Hopefully he survives. I mean, we all probably thought he was a goner. Now that we know that Fatima is connected with Smiley, that she can feel what he does and he can feel what she does ultimately. So she can control him a little bit. She stopped, what he was going to do in the episode. So that was a pretty big piece of information that you kind of jumped over a little bit. And then they're coming up with plans, and I like the idea of, yeah, Hardnex, I would do that too. So it says second time in a row, no notice from YouTube. Like, I don't know what YouTube's doing. Like, sometimes they mess up and they're not letting a notification. So probably best to unsubscribe and then resubscribe that way, because something happens with that as it's a new subscription. So then you might be notified that way better, or just check your notifications that were there. So, for the time being, I'll be back doing live streams for a while. I don't have anything going on the weekends or on Sundays for, not be able to talk to you guys for a while. So I should be back every Sunday from 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock Eastern time. So hopefully just if you want to join us, we're always here for that, and it's always good for have our community and talk about different things. But yeah, so hopefully, what do you think's going to happen with From? Do you think they're going to figure out that Sophia's terrible? That she's the one that is... Because if you put 2 and 2 together, it'll have to be like, okay, well, we found this suit, the yellow suit, in the woods, right around the same time of Sophia's arrival. And now, after the plan kind of was bad with Kenny, it fell apart. Well, it was with Boyd, and then Kenny stepped in because Boyd is struggling with his tremors and PTSD and everything that's going on with that. That they have to put 2 and 2 together because Boyd only told one person about the plan. And the monsters knew what was going on, basically, because they were blocking all the entrances to the houses, the doors. So I don't know. It's kind of interesting to see what happens for the next 3 final episodes of this season. But I'm still enjoying it. I'm excited to see how it goes down. It's still piquing my interest. My dad's watching it now, and I think he's on season 3. And every time I talk to him, he's like, "It's a weird show. It's such a weird show." And I'm like, it is. Like From is hard to explain. Like, how would you explain From? Like, if you were like, hey, I have this show for you. It's about these people stuck in a town that can't get out. There's these monsters, and there's this family, and there's this guy, and there's it's like such a weird thing to describe. Like, you'd be like, well, no, you just gotta watch it. You just gotta watch the show to see how it goes down, because, I think the cast does a good job. The story is enough intrigue, and I've been seeing all these funny memes of Julie's wig that it's like so crazy big. And the wig looked better this episode, but in the past it looked really bad. And they showed like Christy as like this chihuahua with a bad haircut, and you're like, man, these are some funny memes of Christy and Julie, and then they had like little Boyd, like micro-sized Boyd, like it's just pretty funny. And hopefully, we'll get some answers. And Donna being in her weakened condition, someone's gonna have to step up in Colony House. Hopefully that thing that Fatima's doing with her, golem, her, clay figure protector thing actually pays dividends and does something. They're going to have to get a team together to go down into the tunnels. They're going to have to figure out what to do there, get the shovels. And if you had too many people, if there's 47 people, and we know Sophia might, she may sabotage it. She may be one of the people that, volunteer, and she could cause problems with it too. And she's doing enough things to cause problems and remain hidden, and she's doing what we thought would happen too. So Tim says the monsters somehow know what they plan as well as knowing all their names. Well, I'm sure the monsters know exactly, what's going on, because that the man in yellow is Sophia, and Sophia somehow is connected with either the controlling entity that runs Fromville, or is that entity, and speaking in tongues and has witchcraft or whatever it was doing, some sort of seance or something with the guy with the button eyes and stuff that was killed by the puppets, by those doll things. And I was thinking, how do they sew the button on the eye and the mouth and whatever? Like, how do they do that? And then how could it see? It had no eyeballs and, had buttons on the eye. Like, how could it see what was going on? But, it's something that we'll have to see how it unfolds. I mean, I think you're going to have to, because they're going to have a plan. So every time they have a plan, they try to implement the plan. It falls short. It doesn't go well. And then it doesn't really work, and then they come up with a new plan, and we'll see who ends up dying, we'll see who survives, we'll see what happens with everything. And the totems were a good try. I would assume, why don't they make spears and have, so I guess they would just jump over them or knock the things out of the way, but you could control where the monsters go somewhat, direct them a little bit too. If you start making a medieval setup with having the barricades and make it so that you could direct them somewhat. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I would be having people have weapons and you could make stuff. They have, makeshift spears and whatever. They have all this yard work, yard tools and yard, things that they could make weapons. And I'd like them saving themselves and being smart. But so if you saw the episode, obviously spoiler warning for season 4, episode 7. I should have said that earlier. But you saw that Kenny went out, and he was just standing there, by the way. He wasn't even trying to get away because they were blocking the doors. And then he went to the bus, and then he got on top of the bus. And he's just standing on top of the bus, and Smiley went after him. And they're all just chilling down there, looking at Kenny. But what if you were on the roof of stuff and you're just throwing spears at these monsters, and at least stuck them to the ground and slowed them down a little bit? It's not going to kill them, obviously, because the only thing that ever killed it was Boyd the one time, and clearly can't kill them because they'll just come back and be reborn over and over and over again. But you could just take out your stress on them too. You need a good stress relief and just be throwing these spears. I mean, I don't know. We'll have to see what happens, because the writers are going to write whatever they're going to do. And I've seen by far has the craziest amount of theories, speculation, and maybe Lost was the original one. I never watched Lost, but the people that were watching that were probably coming up with theories, speculation, ideas. They were thinking about it, probably different groups of talking about chat rooms and everything else. So I feel like the people who made, some people from Lost are making From, so it makes sense to have them being, left ambiguous. And if things are even things that aren't left ambiguous, or like, why does this person have this, or what's the, it's like, some of the things are answered that some people ask about too, but they're like, Ethan is the man in yellow. Ethan is Victor. Randall is the cowboy. Randall's the man in yellow. Randall is like, it's like all these questions, all these things. So, they still have to find the Lake of Tears. They have to find the idea of Julie was kind of like giving up because her one thing didn't work out. There was a good theory going around that I saw that was the bookmarks that Julie can go to are the pictures of Victor. Victor's pictures are the actual bookmarks, because a picture of the man in yellow eating someone on the street back in the, 70s or whatever it was, Julie went to there, and that's one of Victor's pictures. So they're going to have to put 2 and 2 together, probably the 5th and final season, I'm guessing, if they go that route, because again, there's no set thing in this sandbox. They had locusts, and they had this, and they had a Martin, and they had a ballerina, and they had the rope that came down, and they have a gateway, and they have this, and they have all these different things, and then the lighthouse, and the boy in yellow, the boy in white, and the man in yellow, and Cooey, and here, and it's like, what are we making it? What are we making of it there too? Whatever they direct us to have down the way, and it's hard to say, will they survive? Will they, will some people survive? Will they all make it out of there? I don't know, Will, Henry go around and tell people that it's a dream, and he keeps visualizing himself in the hospital as he's on life support, or he's hooked to machines and he's, in some accident? Because the townspeople are going to eventually have to go after Jade, as we know that from previous episodes. That's what happened in the past. But can they change the past? Once a story's been told, you can't change it. But what if we just write a new story? What if you have cliff notes, or what if you have, addendums, or what if you have little, what's the thing, and amendments or whatever they have in politics? They have the little things that they add to it. You can do that. What if it's a new story? What if you write, it's not the same story on repeat? Once the story's been published or whatever, you can't change it, but you can have a new edition of it, or a new remix of it too. Tim says, if the milkman had died from the totem, then which female would be knocked up to deliver him? Exactly, right? So I think they're not going to be able to kill them, obviously, because we all know that they killed Smiley and he was reborn by Fatima. And, there's enough women there that would be able to give birth to those monsters, But I think that's kind of showing that I don't think that's going to happen again. I think it's going to be kind of done. And, hopefully Sarah figures out that Sophia hasn't been around and things have been going weird, because someone's got to figure out that Sophia is a problem. And, we know the answer, but who's going to be the one to figure it out? My early money was on Sarah, but it could be Boyd, or it could be, whatever it was. I just hope that Kenny survives, because at the end of the episode, he was still out there, and, everyone thought, my wife and I included, thought he was going to be gone because, he was trapped. But now we know that Fatima's connected with Smiley, and Smiley was going to transform into monster form, and she said no, and he stopped. And then Kenny knocked him off the bus and ran away, probably towards Colony House. And then Elgin picked up the totem like it was the heaviest thing ever and stabbed it in his back. That puppet guy that was killed by the dolls. And he was gone. And, it's interesting to see how it's going down. But I just like the idea of keeps you guessing, man. It's a fine line of give us information, teach us, but then don't give us all the information. Throw a little twists and turns, and how's it go down? Are they going to be able to get that door open? And who put the door there? Was it designed to keep the monsters out? Or was it put there to stop the people from getting to the area that they need to wrap it up or finish it or complete the story or complete the tale that needs to be done so they can go home? Tim says, the tunnels must run for miles. When Victor took his dad in, was out in the woods, and it's under the Matthews collapse, the first house, and now under. So, yeah, exactly. I'm guessing that it's all tunnels underneath there, too. Like, it's a tunnel system underneath the town and Colony House and then in the woods. So, you have the tunnels, you have the land. At some reach far away part is the lighthouse. The Lake of Tears have to be there at some point. They have the Brundles and this, so it's a pretty big, area. But the car graveyard. And what was up with the bag of teeth? Why was there a bag of teeth in the glove box there? And if Victor was the one to push all those cars there, why wouldn't you check everything, all nooks and crannies of each individual car? Because obviously he was scared of that car, and that's probably the answer. But I'd be like, Victor lived there forever. He was there. He was a little kid, and now he's an older gentleman. And Tabitha all of a sudden is like remembering how to do this and remembering how to do that. She was also there in the car graveyard with Victor before. What is this whole thing all of a sudden that she can just remember sporadic things here? Like, wouldn't something trigger her earlier, hopefully? But I mean, obviously not, because the writers are just dragging it out, and they love to do that with shows like this. And it's all right. I mean, we're not going to get answers right away, but hopefully we're going to get more and more and more answers every episode from now to the final 10 episodes of season 5. So Tim says, Sophia ripped the tooth out of the priest she came in with. So clearly it's the teeth of the people that were previously there. Is it something that that tooth like transforms into that person? Is that how it is? But then it's like, what's the point of a bag of teeth? Like, that's kind of gross. Is it the DNA of each individual person? And they're small enough because it's in a bag, in a glove box, in the car. And so is that one tooth from every body that has been there before? I mean, there's no way to tell, because there's no way to tell. We have not given that answer yet. But either way, it's something that another twist, another thing to go on there too. And Victor found the bag, and Ethan walked away, and hopefully we get more and more answers of it, and we're getting things. But eventually, we're going to run out of episodes. We have 13 episodes left of the entire series. So yeah, I know, it's all right. It's all right. It's just like a open-ended question. There's never going to be an answer until it's answered by the writers. Like, I was just curious about just the thought process, the food for thought, just throwing out ideas on there too. And it's a nice way to just discuss things, because there's no way to have any answers about this show, because they could throw something in there next episode that changes the entirety of everything we just saw. Evidently Sophia / the Man in Yellow can reincarnate people or just bring them back as zombies and with an egg. That's all it takes. And that guy, he was a resident there. He died by a doll, and then he came back to life because she put an egg on his chest. And so once you die there, the Man in Yellow can just control things that go down a little bit, but also can control the living too, because Sarah had the stuff on her arm, and like it's just so crazy to feel like they don't have any control in this area, and we still don't know like where they are. And like, they had some great questions. Like, we saw the bus driver and was like, okay, so if Tabitha and you were here, were we here before? And they said no. So no one else has been there ever? But Elgin, it felt like he was there before. Remember when he was asleep on the bus? And he wakes up and he's like, no, we're back here. No, like, he made that freaked out moment. So you're like, huh. So Tabitha and Jade are the only two people there out of all those 46, because Sophia doesn't count. She's the person in yellow. 47 that, or for whatever it is now, people that count is, that have been there, that have not been there before. And that's fine. I mean, whatever the story is, it doesn't matter that much. But, you know, you get a group of 10 people, you go into the tunnels, you get a little bit further, you retreat back, you get a little bit further, you retreat back, or whatever it is, you know? And at some point, it would be like, let's just go do it, because I'd rather be taken out by the monsters and be done with this place than to be living in fear. Because I made a video seasons ago that fear was the key. And it keeps coming back that they are afraid of the monsters. They're afraid. They hide in their house. They're being pushed around and bullied there, obviously. But after a while, what if they all just went after the monsters, right? And they all just did it, and they either all die, or they succeed, or some live and some die. Would we just get, you know, the difference to say there's 47 people there, 27 people get taken out, so then 27 new people show up? And then what was the thing with Boyd and the, I don't even know what it's called, the thing where you push it down, it's a different picture, whatever it's called, the back from that, I remember seeing those. And it was like the mountains and Egypt and the beach, and then it was the picture of Boyd and his wife on their wedding day. And then Boyd freaked out, obviously, and then I tried to look at it again, and it was gone. And, you know, would that mean anything? Those pictures? Acosta was looking at the thing, and hopefully Acosta shows up, and it's like she wanted to go out and take herself out anyway, so why not do something heroic to try and get everybody home and try and get herself home too? So there's a lot that remains to be open for the next 3 episodes of this season into the 5th season, so we'll see who survives. I would assume the big characters survive because we need them for the story. You know, Jade and Tabitha aren't going to go. Boyd, Donna, Ethan, Julie, Fatima, you know, Ellis, Victor. Does Sophia make it out of this? Does she make it to the 5th season? They got to figure out that she's the terrible, crazy person, whatever, too, you know? And it's something that remains to be seen, and it's interesting enough for us to keep talking about it on there too. So I told you before that Fight for Us 2 Reaction is the second book. It's going strong. I have I got the proof yesterday. I'm excited to get that done. Then the next book after that, I'm really excited to start doing that after we get this one wrapped up. And I saw Mandalorian and Grogu. It was pretty decent, but it's probably just wait for streaming. And I also saw Masters of the Universe. So are you a Masters of the Universe fan? Did you see the I think it was 87 with Dolph Lundgren movie? And then this movie here. So if you saw the movie, which one did you like better? Because it's hard to say, because the nostalgia of both movies is what you're really, you know, being a part of. Because He-Man by itself is not the best story by any means. And Skeletor has his little one-liners, and he's kind of funny, and he's done this and there too. But it all comes down to the other characters, and, you know, Adam, He-Man, Teela, Man-at-Arms, you know, just all the different things. So I would assume they're going to be making a second one, because the way they set things up with it makes sense for a second movie. I don't know if it's going to do well or not. The other thing that's crazy is the popcorn holder, popcorn bin things, the soda, drink cups, and also the sword. You can get a He-Man sword that holds soda. Like, it's crazy. And the crazy thing about it is those things, they're going for like over $100 on eBay, the He-Man sword drink holder thing, drink cup thing. And, I'm tempted to like go buy a couple and sell them on eBay, but I don't even know if my local theater has it because I didn't really see much stuff like that here in our area. But people are buying the Battle Cat popcorn thing, the Castle Grayskull, all the different things, and they're spending like hundreds of dollars on the actual thing because that's got a big following. Masters of the Universe stuff has got a big following for sure. And I was thinking about it. That was the first time that I've seen Mandalorian and Grogu really started off with all the different popcorn tins and Mortal Kombat, and you can have the Shao Kahn popcorn bin. And they've had different ones. Like I have a Groot one, I have a Stormtrooper helmet one. I have different popcorn tins, and I have an R2D2 one from Disney World and a Mine Train one. But you know what you would sell probably 10 million of them if it was a lightsaber. Like, if they make a drinkable lightsaber cup holder thing, like the Masters of the Universe sword, and the lightsaber, same thing. Just make a long thing, you put liquid in it, and it's crazy. But I don't know. The future of it is that draws you there are the different popcorn tins and popcorn buckets. Oh, I also have like a Deadpool and Wolverine popcorn tin that's just a regular bucket. That's nothing special by any means. But they have to draw you in to get you in the movie theaters nowadays because you have such, nowadays especially, and there's going to be a bunch of sales coming out in June that I saw. There's like Amazon Prime Day is June 23rd through the 26th. Target is like the same thing to match that. There's like at least 6 people right now there, Tim. No one's really talking much in the chat. But Walmart, Target, Amazon, and is it Best Buy? I think is the 4th one that's going to have a bunch of sales for June. So potentially there. I mean, Black Friday is usually the best sales by far, but it's definitely interesting for that as well. So I to be on the lookout for if you're on there as well for it. So yeah, I excited to see what the rest of this year brings for you. Hopefully you guys are doing well this summer. Any trips, any vacations, anything coming up? Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm just trying to get through the summer. It's already hot as heck here in Florida. It's like 80s and 90-degree weather here. We need some more rain and some cool down for it. But yeah, no, I don't really see a lot of people talking in the chat, and that's all right. Maybe they'll catch it on the replay on there as well for I always like to keep up with different talk on there for it. But next month, man, we'll have Dead City, July 26th or whatever that is, whatever that Sunday is. Yeah, July 26th, the last Sunday of the month. We'll have Dead City. So there's been no talk if it's the final season of it. There's been a lot of speculation of it right now. And there's always a lot of speculation and rumors going around with stuff because we just don't know information until we know it, Same thing with the same thing with anything. They give us information and we have to go from there. But, Negan is a character that I think can carry a show. Maggie and Negan working together, it's so forced. Like, it's one of those things where who wants to watch them complain and this and that with each other? But it's understandable that they are. But it's like a bad relationship with your friends that you get to see them dealing with outside. It's like, who wants to be around that? I don't want to be around there too, but you have to because you're part of the same friend group. So you're like, huh, cool, all right. In a world like that too, Maggie and Negan would never be interacting with each other on there too. Like in the comic, Maggie leaves, Negan leaves. Like they separate from each other. Negan goes on his journey on there too, and Maggie was going to take him out in the comic, and she didn't. You know, it's kind of a thing too. So man, I don't know what that person's talking about, but I don't know what's going on with there. But you know, we'll have to see them coming together to fight a common enemy is what kind of happens there as well. But The Walking Dead needs a big reunion of sorts. The whole Morgan is looking for Rick Grimes. I don't know if it needs to be settled, but it kind of does. Rick and Daryl need to come together more than anything. And then Carol and Daryl, you know, I'll have to see, do they get home? There's been little to no information about the final season of Daryl Dixon, and I'm okay with that because I want to watch it each week to see how it unfolds. And, you know, it's something that I want to watch just to see it wrapped up. And I like Carol and Daryl, obviously, and, you know, Maggie and Negan are important characters, but it's just not that captivating like it was. You know, people coming together to fight an enemy to have them working together is what we know and love on there too. Like The Walking Dead was them coming together like this group of people that didn't know each other before anything besides, you know, Lori and Rick and Carl and Shane. And then they went this and there and came together in season 1 and season 2, and then things changed, obviously, setting up season 3, and then, you know, become people together and they stick around. And, you know, it's crazy to think about the stuff that could have changed the Walking Dead universe in a really bad light is that, you know, in season 1, Daryl was supposed to die. He was not supposed to get out of season 1. He was supposed to be a limited character and then go away. And then in season 3, they were going to kill Carol off. Instead, they killed T-Dog instead of Carol. And imagine if you didn't have Daryl after season 1 and you lost Carol after season 3. That would have been crazy to see what the future would have been because Carol has had huge story arc. Daryl, probably the biggest story arc in Walking Dead universe history. You don't have spin-offs if they're both gone. They don't have any of those big moments. They probably go to Rick and they probably go to this, and they probably go to Aaron, whatever. And you probably save a bunch of money because Carol and Daryl are making a lot of money in the Walking Dead universe, and they've been gone since, you know, it really took off. And Shane would have been gone on season 2, so it would have been Rick and this and whatever. And so maybe Rick sticks around, maybe Carl gets a bigger part, maybe this happens, maybe that. There's just the whole what if scenario that makes you think about it, but it is what it is, and you just move on with what it's been going on. You know, it just doesn't make sense for to worry about those things and think about it. But it's just kind of food for thought and good conversation too. So. Yeah, I mean, it does make sense for people coming together, and I do like a story that has a group of people because not everybody is going to be Rick, and not everyone's going to be Daryl, and not everyone's going to be Carol, but there's going to be someone that can relate to Glenn, or you know, Shane, or Carol, or Tyrese, or Abraham, or Eugene, or whoever, you know, like, and when people dress up, they dress up like someone they look like, typically, but they also dress up as characters that they like, that they want to be, and that are good characters too. Like some people connect with the governor, some people connect with Negan, some people connect with, you know, whatever. And I think that's the bigger part of a story is that you have your roles. Each person has a role and is a team. And the team atmosphere is what makes, you know, the world go around. Community, people coming together for a common goal is the essence of storytelling. Like if you look at Stranger Things, if you look at The Burrows, if you look at, you know, any the Goonies, if you look at, you know, Seinfeld, Friends, you know, a group of people. Each person has their little role of different things and their story of it. The Walking Dead, you know, even Breaking Bad for some aspects of it too. Sopranos, you know, whatever. Supernatural, The Boys, everyone has their roles. That some of the best stories and the best everything are not just one individual person story. And I think breaking it up for different people coming together is the way to go. But, I'm a storyteller of my own story, and Fight for Us and Fight for Us 2 and In 100 Days is out now and available on Amazon. And, it's different when you're writing something that you kind of have an idea and you just go with it. And then, or I have ideas all the time. So having a pad and paper, having your phone, some way of writing down what you thought about, because you may forget it in 5 seconds, 5 minutes, whatever. You think about it as, what was that thing I was thinking about? Would they do this? There, yeah, remember that thing? But it's good to just have that, or it's just good to write things down for to-do lists or whatever, things to have. I always tell people to have a bucket list of things and think about it as well and get a game plan for it, So Kadu says, last night's From episode is probably an 8 for me. Had potential to be a 9 if Roger offered off to some people. But I think the writers are waiting to off another person to animate the Gollum and dramatic. Yeah, no, it was a good episode for sure. I don't like to give it's a 7 or a 6 or a 10 or whatever, Unless it's really good. I see it really good or really bad, Because does it really make a difference if it's a 7 or a 9 or a 6 or a 4 or whatever, a 2? It's either we get information or we don't. And From is the quintessential, could probably just be 6 episodes a season and move along with it. But they get 10, they draw it out, they come up with plans, they fall flat, come up with a new plan, fall flat, lose characters, gain characters, different ideas, gotta go here, gotta go there, what are we gonna do, what's gonna build it up, flashbacks, callbacks, different things, a new piece of information changes everything. And so, ultimately, the big question is, will they be able to change the story? Because if not, everyone's going to die. I would assume, right? Jade's going to die. Tabitha's going to die. Is it already unfolding differently than it was? We know that the Man in Yellow has said before, this is my favorite part. This is when they turn on each other. This is when they do this, or this is when they do that. So he already knows this leads to that. This leads to that. Cause, effect. Cause, effect. What if there's a cause and the effect changes? Or can it change? Can it not? Is it already predetermined? Is it already set to happen, to be there time and time and time and time and time again, over and over and over again? What's going to be the big moment or the big event that changes things, So it makes sense that we're going to have some sort of way that they can change something, because maybe it's not a happy ending. Maybe they don't survive. Maybe they don't get away. Maybe they don't. And if they do they go back in time to when they first got there? Has time stood still? We'll have to see, what's going to happen with it, because, if Victor was there before and the Man in Yellow showed up in a car before, why did that differ? Because that didn't happen this time. The Man in Yellow was not there. The Man in Yellow transformed. Did that happen before too? Because everybody seems to think that Tilly was the Man in Yellow. And so it just doesn't know. We just don't know. There's no way to tell. So yeah, 47, it loves to be that number for sure. Yeah, exactly. And so something's going to have to be changed, or they said it time and time again. Once the story is told, it can't be changed. But there's always new stories. Is this a story? Is it just a book? Is it literally someone is going to be opening the book, the Chromonicle or whatever it is, the Ethan book, telling a story? This is this there's like a bunch of people sitting around a campfire in the woods, and they're telling the story of what's happening here at Fromville. And so we're looking at the story unfold that was on paper, that was there. Like, well, again, it's going to be crazy. It's going to be crazy when we finish this season and we get like a little bit more answers. And then we have the final 10 episodes. That's going to be crazy. So whenever that is next year, I'm guessing, because they'll probably start filming pretty soon. And they're going to film 10 episodes. You know, it's about 2 weeks per episode. So, you know, that's 20 weeks. So, you know, that's 5 months to film it. And so we'll have to see if it comes out next year at this time for the final 10 episodes. And so it's definitely a fun thing to talk about as discussion, but there's just no way to tell anything. And it's crazy the amount of stuff that gets posted on Facebook, especially I'm in a couple From groups, and they just talk about all these crazy things and what about this and who is this? And we haven't seen this. There's like the lady, she's like a bigger woman, a white woman that's got like green on, and she lives in Colony House, and they're like, we haven't seen her in a while. What's she up to? Like, who cares? like the writers give the story to people when it matters, when it makes sense. And there's enough other characters, just like on The Walking Dead, when they had like Denise and this character and that character, and they started to give the character more screen time. That ain't good, especially if they were doing like good stuff or heroic stuff or funny stuff or like impactful stuff for our main characters, and then all of a sudden they gone. When you started to get more information on the character, more story arc, they were killed off. And I think the final season will end up losing people, obviously, because it's the final episodes. I would assume that everyone's going to make it out of this season that's alive right now. So it's interesting to see how it's going to play out. Dakaidu says, I think Boy in White was the first survivor like that. Story walks to tell the townsfolk, and everyone becomes the bitter and evil man in yellow. I'm probably wrong. I mean, the Boy in White does nothing. He gives like a little bit, like young Jade gave more information in the 20 minutes he was on screen than all the episodes that the Boy in White was in. And I really hope that we get some significant answers these final 3 episodes that hold us over into the final 10, because it's like just a little bit of this. Here's a little taste. Here's a little bit here. Okay. And we all know that they're going to come up with another plan, and it's going to be something to do with the tunnels, something to do with the bones, and it's not going to work out. Because every time they come up with a plan, it doesn't work out. So the big thing about it is, you know, how they're going to wrap it up. In a year, hopefully we'll find out next year at some point. That is fine. I'm excited to see how it goes out and plays out. And hopefully more and more people will watch it, because it is kind of cool to see what's happening with the characters unfold. And I just love how like Boyd is. Like, he's such the quintessential, yeah, no, I'm going to do this because I'm going to do this. I'm not going to put anyone else in danger. He's going to do that. He's going to be here as the hero. But ultimately, Boyd is not responsible for everybody in town. Everybody's responsible for themselves. Like, when Christy or whatever said that to you, like, oh yeah, you know, people are relying on you, whatever she said there too. And I'm like, they should be relying on themselves. Like, why is Boyd the only one coming up with stuff? There's a bunch of people that could be like, okay, let's come up with this plan. Let's have an idea to get here. We have all these background characters that aren't doing much. So it is what it is, and ultimately I'm excited to see how it plays out. And again, episode 7 available now on MGM Plus, and we'll have to wait till next week. So, you know, since they took that week off for Memorial Day, we got 3 more weeks, 3 more episodes. And that'll take us towards the end of the month. Yeah, so we got 8, 9, 10. So it takes us into July. So the 5th of July, there'll be no episodes. So we got 14th, 21st, and 28th, and then the season's done. So I'm excited to see. Yeah, you can have a leader, but not everyone has to do it. If Boyd says what to do and people are against it, people don't have to go along with it. You know, and you don't need everyone to go in there too. You just need 10 people, 7 people, 15 people, whatever, to go do something, you know? So it's pretty awesome to see how it's going down and unfold every episode. And there you go, guys. That's my hour. I'll be back next Sunday to talk about From and other shows, other movies that we're trying to discuss. Hopefully you're doing well. Enjoy your Sunday, June 7th. Thanks, guys, for watching. Remember, guys, with hard work, dedication, belief, and sacrifice, keep working hard at it. You can achieve it, whatever it is. Thanks, guys, and I'll see you later.